Wow. Hey there, welcome to ATL and 29, a podcast where we look at the NBA from the starting point of Atlanta. My name is Kevin Chenard. I'm here with Glen Willis and Tyler Jones on a Friday night in between the second Celtics game and a game with Milwaukee. The Hawks have won 4 in a row. I don't even know where to begin. Where do you want to begin, Tyler?
Man, we have to begin with DeJounte. Uh, DeJounte bring me back to my childhood. That was a classic, like scorer's performance. Can't putting the team on your back, just giving it everything you got on both ends of the floor, like literally. Nah, that was special from DeJounte. Like, uh, hard not to be impressed with everything he did. Not just scoring the ball. I thought he did a really good job keeping the Hawks on tempo. And it's a recent trend, but it feels like he's trusting the guys more, and he's like willing to give the ball up to get it back and stuff like that. And so I think that's made him a better, like it's just made him more deadly or or dangerous for teams to defend him. Now it's not just the ISO game that he's like one of the best in the league at.
Yeah, do you think like it looks like he's like, oh, I got Bogey on the floor with me. Like that's
Yeah,
really helpful. And it feels like he's kind of leaning into that help a lot more recently than maybe he was in the beginning, towards the earlier part of the year and stuff like that. But I mean, when we talk all the time about how Bogey makes everything easier on offense, but it does seem like DeJounte is accessing that more consistently now than he was maybe even a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
it's that, and it's also, I mean, it helps a lot that he's figured out how to get Capella the ball to make him dangerous as an offensive player. Where Dejounte's not a lob thrower, but he and Capella have actually gotten real chemistry together on these little pocket passes that he does for Capella. And credit to Clint, who's I mean, doesn't have the strongest hands, but like it just seems like he feels more confident going towards the rim with a dribble than he has all season. I don't, I guess
Yeah.
he's feeling better or something. Something's going on with Clint. Like
Yeah.
he's been a different player.
Well,
Uh,
the key to me has been it's always better in front of the right in front of the rim, right?
yeah,
He's just more confident for whatever reason. The way that his shot kind of works from that angle, and that's where he's functioning a lot more lately. Is right in front. He's not getting behind the backboard and kind of down on the baseline and having a tight angle. There he's working right in front of the rim, and I think that is something that sets him up for success. The other thing on Dejounte is, I mean, how many times this season, like earlier, kind of go back a month or two or whatever, and he's struggling with ball pressure, and he's struggling
yeah,
with kind of average ball pressure. I mean, Drew was trying to pressure him the whole game. He had no problem with it at all, like none. And
it
it's like, wow, it's like watching a different player in that way.
yeah. It was like he's more intentional. Like maybe somebody told him like, hey, it's been too easy to get into your dribble. Like at least bring the ball over the floor. I do think something that's helped the team in general, because actually Quinn talked about this with Capella, is that Clint's gotten so much better running the DHO stuff, like just being like an outlet to get the ball. I mean, to give the ball to him in a non-scoring area, and like running, just running small stuff through Clint. Like I think that's helped take some pressure off of DeJounte as a dribbler, along with playing next to Bogey and Vic. And I don't know, I can't sing V Krejci's like praises enough. Like that dude,
Yeah.
I know he only took one shot. Like Jason, he was giving Jason like it's it's so like I wonder if this is the case because I feel like team wide they're playing better defensively. Everybody is
Yep.
from like literally from Garrison Matthews on up. Like the whoever you think the worst defender on the Hawks, they're all playing better defensively. And I wonder if his teammates are seeing that he's like taking the challenge and winning. Like he won a lot of those matchups against Tatum and Brown
Yeah.
all game. Like I was every time Jason tried to ISO, or I mean, I'm sorry, Jalen tried to I'm tripping. Both of them tried to ISO against Vic Frazier. I was like, good luck. He's long. He's 6'8". He's got long arms, and you're not just gonna go through him anymore. Like he's gotten a lot tougher. Like that, and I wonder if I felt this. I felt this months ago. I was like, it could really just take one guy to take on the challenge as a point of attack defender, and for it to be Vit Krejci of all people. I think it's motivated. Like, I mean,
the funny thing
I
though,
saw
Tyler,
DeJounte.
is that like for 5 games it was Kobe, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And what's the common thread there, right?
G League.
Yeah,
But
I went and talked to Ryan Schmidt this week, and I
yeah.
maybe it was a loaded question, but I was like, if you told me a year ago that he was going to guard Paul George and Jason Tatum in the same span of 10 days, that I would have had a good laugh about that. And he's like, if you told me that 4 weeks ago, I would have had a good laugh about that. He like cut
It's
it down to
incredible.
a shorter time frame.
but
It's crazy.
but my like what I'm trying to get at is like his teammates know what Vit was last year. They seen what he's doing now, and I feel like DeJounte more than anybody else is like, wait a minute. If Vit Krejci is willing to take on the challenge, I can take on the challenge of guarding Jaylen Brown post. Like, like I mean, he was like DeJounte for the offensive workload that I was like, I cannot praise DeJounte enough for the game he had against the Celtics. Like beyond just the game winner. Like the shot making the 44 shots, I'm like, yeah, I thought he ran the offense great. And then, but defensively, like considering his offensive workload, he was getting after it the entire game. He played 47 minutes. That was what was incredible to me. And to my point, I'm like, did Veet like light a fire under the rest of this team? Be like, hey, if I can do it, there's no reason why you can't do it too. There's no reason why you can't do it too.
Bogey was good in this game. Bogey was good in this
Exactly.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were trying bogey in the post, and they were getting nowhere.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean the Celtics have like an incredible net rating and the best record in the league. I still think they don't have enough ball handling and passing and creation. If you let them space the floor, they will kill you. Like because they can space the floor for sure. But but it kind of going back to that, there are like I don't know, secondary and tertiary benefits to having a guy like Heat taking that responsibility. How many times, like in the past, that would a game like this had to have been DeAndre Hunter 38 minutes taking every single rep, defending Tatum? Like there's no one else to do it. We saw that in the playoffs last year, right?
Yeah.
And there's literally no one else to do it, And so and like you're watching this game and Hunter's not having to take this like defensive workload that's making you think, oh, he's for sure going to end up hurt, And that's such a massive thing in the big picture for them to have someone else that can do that, And
You know what? I think it's less of a hurt with DeAndre, but more of it. Like to me, I watched DeAndre defend out in front, and like I just don't think he has the foot speed anymore to do it at the level that's needed for like a team that's trying to. Whereas I'm watching Vit, cut these guys off. Like I mean, like Tatum's trying to go to all every tool he got in the shed, and he can't shake them. He can't shake them. He can't overpower them. He's got to so he's going to these fadeaway packages and like that more than anything else, because what the Hawks realized, I think, during the 30-point comeback is that the Celtics don't really have a point guard, if that makes sense. They got guys who can play it. But like if you're willing to pressure them the full court, they don't want to bring the ball up the floor. It's hard to do that.
Yeah, so let me bring a counterpoint there. Something I'm curious about and wanted to talk about with you guys. So for me, right, DeJounte, it was mostly Drew the whole game. Kevin, I'm like really curious on your side, like watching live there in the building. Derek White's on that team.
Yeah.
Like Derek White's a better defender than Drew Holiday now.
I mean, but they had him on bogey. It's not. I mean,
yeah,
But
I'm sorry. I got Derek White on DeJounte. If I'm in charge, that's the way I think.
I
I mean,
thought
Drew
I
is an
thought
awesome defender still, but Derek White is like one of the best five point guard defenders in the league.
Glenn, I
Top
want to be
three, top two,
honest.
whatever.
I think they. I'm pretty sure Drew was trying to guard Bogey, and he was fair. Like I thought Drew looked bad. Like like Bogey was just blowing by everybody that
Yeah.
game. Like I mean, that was probably his best drives of the season. I mean, it helps the Hawks was like I said with where like this was the Hawks that I saw in the preseason with Capella just not exclusively in the dunker spot when he doesn't have the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
Um, like and
And
so like there were driving lanes and Bogey was really taking it to the Celtics as a driver. Like I wasn't,
going left, yeah.
yeah, and so to me, I'm like, I think Drew was just too small to guard either Bogey or DeAndre. Like I think Missoula was more scared of Drew getting exposed to because what we also not talking about is how DeAndre like he's just punishing all small defenders now. Like
Yeah.
if you don't
And then like I was rewatching the second half today, and like that one time he went straight at Porzingis and finished with his left hand. And that was just wild. But so Kevin, when you were there, did you get the sense that that Missoula didn't want to put Drew on a bigger guy like Hunter or Bogey? What was your feeling when you were watching the game?
I it's hard to gauge Missoula's feeling just from being in the building. I mean, I just, every time I would look, it looked like they were just worried about Bogey, and that,
yeah
I think they would just had wanted Derek White on Bogey, and then they figured they could stunt and dig and try to get into the stuff that DeJounte does when he gets to 14 feet, and that there would be more help there for Drew than there might be for whatever Bogey would do with Derek White on him.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah,
they
interesting.
to me it felt like the Celtics didn't want Bogey to take 15 threes.
Right.
Yeah,
They were going to look like, and credit to DeJounte and Quinn were like, the way they're guarding you, you got to take 16 plus threes tonight, and he took 19. So like I think the game, like I think the game plan dictated the Celtics under no circumstances were just going to let Bogey take 15 threes to possibly beat them by himself. Instead, but so what was impressive was DeJounte taking advantage of that in ways that I thought. I mean, I don't know. Like it's just like that. I don't know that. I don't know, guys. That was just classic. That's classic hoop. Like that's
yeah.
that's
That's how they play up here in Seattle, man.
yeah, that's
Well,
exactly how they play in Seattle. That's how.
Jamal Crawford, yeah,
But it was more control, like compared to what he was, because I was there at the Grizzlies
yeah.
game where it felt different the way he was attacking them. It felt like
Well, I mean,
it felt
but
like his teammates were more involved, even though he took 44 shots. I don't know how to describe exactly how they were more involved, even though like he took 44 shots, but it just felt like he was pinging the ball to guys and then moving to open spots, relocating. Like he was just, I mean, it was one of I know he doesn't think he played well. I thought he played an incredible game, like easily one of the
yeah,
best.
yeah. It's really, really, truly incredible. And then on the other end, we talked about the Celtics, like their point guard challenges. And as I'm watching that game, and even as I was rewatching part of it, I couldn't believe how uninvolved Derek White was on offense. I mean,
Shocking.
I know they're playing through Tatum and they're playing through Jalen, playing through KP a little bit. They were trying to attack mismatches. And I know the Hawks have their defenders that are playing right now without Trey are a bit bigger. Um, but like in the playoffs last year, he was putting the Hawks guard defenders like wherever he wanted to. I mean, he get to 8 feet right in front of the rim at will all the time. And that's something that Drew wasn't able to do in this game. And then even like, I just can't. I mean, it's so funny because like the Celtics have such a good collection of players. Like I enjoy Tatum, I enjoy Brown. Porzingis is challenge for sure. But when I try to think about them, I know Tyler, you're kind of vocal about this on Twitter. How do they scale that offense up to win 4 playoff series?
They
And I mean, I'm sorry, Derek White has to have a bigger role than he had in this game. And I know he's not some Steph Curry. I know he's not some all-star level offensive guy, but he's super efficient. He's super smart. He knows how to attack space. He knows how to create leverage in a way that I'm sorry, no one else on the team can do that.
Yeah, I mean, Derek White was the reason why the Celtics won that series more than anybody else. Like he
Yeah,
was just
totally.
the
On
Hawks
both
had no
ends.
answer.
On both ends.
So it's an interesting dynamic where I think it hurts weirdly enough that they have both Drew and Derek White on the same team. Like I don't know.
It's almost
I mean,
like Trey and
it's
DeJounte. It's like they're a little bit too
yeah,
similar.
yeah, where um they have similar like I mean Drew's a lesser version of what he used to be, but
Right.
it's just one of those things where I'm like there actually there are a couple things going on. One, I think the something's getting in Tatum and Brown's head because they've recently in the last couple of weeks have derailed the Celtics offense in ways that they weren't playing like this earlier in the season. So I don't know what's going on with that, but also I just think to me like it just goes back to my point of like Derek White's got to be more involved. Derek White has to involve
Totally.
himself.
Yeah.
That's on him.
I
Be
mean,
the point guard. Take the
is it?
ball.
Yeah,
Demand
yeah,
the ball out of Jason Tatum's hand. I'm
yeah,
sorry. Like
yeah.
how
I
many times
mean,
did I watch
yeah,
Jason Tatum dribble 15 seconds at the top of the key, not doing anything? And the Hawks are like, oh, thanks for making our lives easier. You guys got this 5-out scheme, but if you're just going to sit there and literally not run an offense because you can't get the ball up the floor over Vit Krejci, why aren't you taking the ball from his hands, Derek, Drew? Like that's one of those things where it's like, unless you're willing to be nasty about it, like unless you're willing to get in an argument with your quote unquote best player, uh, like I don't see it. And I also don't. I just don't think White has the. I don't. I White's hyper efficient, but I don't know if he has the ability to scale up in the way that DeJounte can scale up, like he's
yeah.
doing right.
Oh, for
That
sure. I
makes
mean,
sense.
Yeah.
I just trust White in a pinch, like 8 seconds on the clock. I got an average defender in front of me. He's going to do something smart with that situation, and he's a way better pull-up shooter than Drew. Like in a different,
Yeah.
totally different tier. Right. So that's my thought. I don't think like Derek White should be like some guy trying to score 28 a game. That's not who he is for sure. But for me, when I look at that roster, I'm like, when it gets to be crunch time, like that's kind of the guy I trust the most, especially if you got, Chris Stapps out there creating a ton of space by being a problem in the corner, or whatever it is, Horford, whatever that. I just trust him more. I still think the blueprint of taking a team where you need Derek White to have that role when 16 games across 4 playoff series is not how you really want to approach that ideally.
And also a thing that I thought hurt the Celtics just in both games was Porzingis's real weaknesses, both as a rebounder and as a passer. I thought the Hawks, like after a certain point, the Hawks did a really good job of like, yeah, we're just going to double Porzingis. If he takes a dribble, we're doubling Auto, and he's not Joel Embiid, as a ball handler, passer, creators, guy. We're not just going to allow Porzingis to be comfortable when it's late. So I thought the Hawks did a really good job of taking that away from Tatum and Brown, as well as like I don't know. I thought Bogey like because the Hawks had more size, so it'd be interesting to see how if the Hawks were to play themselves in the playoffs and Trey's back. You know, I think something that Trey's going to have to flat out do. He's going to have to be able to defend one of Holiday uh or Derek White at the point of attack. Like, and he's going to have to hold up. In ways that he hasn't actually been challenged that much. So it'll be interesting to see if that because if Vit if Vit Krejci is able to act like if this is just the defender Vit is, and then you get Jalen Johnson back, you got DeAndre Hunter. Now with this I'm getting excited again for the Hawks. Like
This
that's
team's
why
been starving for a forward for 5 months.
I've been starving, Kevin. I've been starving for somebody to take the challenge as a point of attack defender since Kevin Herter did it during the Eastern Conference Finals run. I've been starving for that. It's been 3 years. Now that I see it, I'm like, well, why can't they beat the Celtics? They got the offense for it. If Trey's there, definitely. So like I got my tinted glasses back on that. The glass is half full again. We Hawks looking up right now to me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I probably jinxed them. They're probably going to lose their next 3 games. Unfortunately.
Kevin, I think Tyler's one Hawks win away from ordering a Clint Capella jersey. I think that's where we are.
I mean, you can't discount that. Like the guys that were healthy in November playing in front of November Clint Capella had a disadvantage compared to the guys playing in March that are playing in front of March Clint Capella because they know they're protected if somebody gets by them.
Yep.
It's a big deal.
Capella like bullied Porzingis and Howard Horford for out like that offense rebound he gave up for the DeAndre Hunter game winner. That was I had Cavaliers flashbacks with Tristan Thompson with that one. Still love Al Horford, but that's not a strength in his game. Now Capella, I mean, he's just moving like this is the second person who should have been in the running for Deep Boy during the Eastern Conference Finals run. Clint Capella, this is a different basketball player to me. Yeah. I'll get that guy's jersey. Sign me up. If this is what we're getting for the rest of the season, like if they can make it out the plan.
Going back to Vit and his defensive role and what that does for Hunter's workload, which we touched on. But Kevin, curious your thoughts here. I think also Hunter's more valuable as a team and help defender than he is at the point of attack now. He's especially with Collins not on the team, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a huge vacuum in that space, and I think if this allows Hunter to function in that area, I think he helps the defense more.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, it's just he's set up for that role where if he's guarding the second best threat of that size of player or something along those lines, he can be the player who can get to the rim to help. But he also, then if it becomes some sort of action between the first and second best players, like you don't worry about it. Like, okay, well now it's Dre instead of Vit or whatever. Like, you run that action and it's just such a different action now because you feel comfortable in two defenders.
I have an interesting question. Do you think DeAndre should go back to the bench when Jalen returns, or should it be V? This is more open. I don't like not saying DeAndre doesn't deserve to start. This is more about this is really to me more about just getting that point of attack defender. Unless you think Jalen might be willing to do it.
I think to me, I like the chemistry between DeJounte and Vit. Like I think having a second player, like the one thing that we know Vit does, and now you've seen defense as a second thing, but before that, we knew that he can break somebody down and get to the rim and just make the defense shift a little bit. And he's not going to power through. He's not going to finish over the help defense, but then he's just going to put the ball wherever the help defense came from. And it just kind of gives you that continuity of offense that, I think helps DeJounte a lot. I don't think you need it as much for Trey as you do for DeJounte. And so I think that's just a very natural pairing to have DeJounte and Vit together. So I if Hunter is comfortable with that bench role, which certainly it looks like, then that's who I would send to the bench.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think excellent points there. I think the other part is that it gives you a chance to manage Hunter's minutes
Yeah.
such that if you need to close with him, you can close with him.
They've
Right?
got to
It's a
manage Bogey's minutes. Like it's
yeah. That's right. It's
they that I mean you want Jalen back, but honestly, just the main reason you need Jalen back is just to have another high minutes body so that Bogey can get back down to
yeah.
33 or
Yeah.
something like that. It's too much.
Yeah, but I mean, but V like his ability to create some leverage, make a play, make a pass, and then when he's off the ball, his ability to just make a decision as soon as the ball hits his hands. I mean, immediately.
Yeah.
He still probably needs to pull the trigger on the shots a little more frequently. There's times when you're like, man, just put that shot up. You've been making shots, the last couple of weeks, that kind of thing. But the other thing is that he's just such a smart, resourceful player. You'll see 9 on the shot clock, 8 on the shot clock, and DeJounte's defenders right in front of him at the top of the key, and people just sprint to the top of the key and give him a screen. And even if it's just a ghost or a touch screen or he's just kind of moving through, just something to give DeJounte a little space to work with, and he does that all on his own. DeJounte doesn't have to ask him to come do that. So there's just a lot of ways he's resourceful in that sense, and I think Kevin nailed it that DeJounte I think feels pretty comfortable with him on the floor. And it's I mean the shot distribution was hilarious. It was hilarious in that way. But like if he doesn't have to take shots to help your offense, there were probably 2 shots that he passed up. I wish he would have taken in that game. But overall, I just think he does a lot of stuff that's just super helpful. I mean, we saw it in this game. Like when if they get in a playoff setting, the challenge for V is going to be avoiding foul trouble. And that's just like, I mean, how many reps does he have in his career depending on a guy like Jason Tatum? That's not surprising that's going to be something you have to
I mean,
kind of deal with.
what is Veach supposed to do if Jason Tatum's going to like flop every other play? Like, I mean, I don't know that. Um, like watching DeJounte getting after it, and then like Tatum on the other end after like every bit of contact, he's just throwing, like trying to draw a foul. I'm like, yo, bro, come on. Like this is a shot makers league. Like, can we go? Like, please.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, but
I felt the frustration the Hawks had with the whistle. They had like what, 3 techs in one game. I'm like,
Yeah,
I
that was
get it
interesting.
because I mean I get it. I'm like, what, Tatum's just gonna be illegally allowed to look like a doofus out here? I mean,
yeah,
it cost him in one possession when they didn't call him. He fell on the ground. And everybody's like,
uh,
"What are you doing?"
yeah.
You know,
But I mean, but the thing is, I mean, I think there's a lot of truth to that, but I also think that veteran players know what the refs call. You hit him on the elbow, it's going to be a call, even if it's just like a brush on the like. There are things that all the officials call, and Tatum is trying to get that kind of contact, and that's just reps, and that's just experience. The refs are going to call that stuff. And we see that with Bruno, still a little bit, just not being vertical, being a little late to a spot, kind of whatever that is. But I mean, if they really want to, if they do get into a playoff series, it looked like it would be with Boston if it happens for sure. I mean, Quinn, like these last, what do we have, like 3 weeks? What is it, right? 2 weeks. I don't remember how long the rest of the season is, 3, 4 weeks, um, but like V probably needs as much of that role as he can just to continue kind of building some experience around how he's going to be officiated, depending guys of the caliber.
it's fascinating. I wonder, like, the NBA is such an interesting league where there's so much talent. We've been talking, guys. We've been talking all year about the Hawks don't have the depth. The Hawks don't have the depth. All of a sudden, I mean, you see the contributions the Hawks are getting, not just from V Krejci, but Bruno Fernando and Garrison Matthews.
Yeah.
Like
And in this game, Wes Matthews was huge
Wesley
on
Matthews too.
several
Like
Yeah.
a few key possessions. He was
I, I,
huge.
I think Wesley's healthy. I don't think he was healthy to begin the season. Like
Yeah.
he had
Yep.
that weird ankle heel thing that was bothering him. I just think, to me, I just feel like, because this Wesley was a good player last year too. So like I'm not surprised he can still like defend and shoot an open 3-pointer and like move the ball and be a veteran. Like he's been doing this for like 15 years now. Like so I'm
Well,
just I'm
even
just
just
happy.
yeah, even just that play. Yeah, man, I'm so tired, guys. I had a long work week, but the foul
Me
he
too.
took on the foul he took on Tatum, like when Tatum was getting by him, they had a foul. Was that regulation or overtime?
That was regulation.
That was
Or
regulation.
no, yes.
Yeah, that would have been regulation, right? So there was like 6 seconds left. Such a smart play. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
knowing scoring situation and all that, such a smart play. Oh, I beat to take the foul before he gets into the shooting motion. That's a veteran play. And that's probably something Veet doesn't do. And that was a huge play in that game.
Yep. Force them to reset, and then they didn't allow them to just inbound the ball, so they were scrambling. It was like the Hawks had a lot of great defensive possessions that entire game. But like I want to talk about the one play where Trey got a tag because he was so happy that DeJounte and Garrison Matthews did something I've been wanting DeJounte to do with Trey for like this entire time, where DeJounte gave like uh he gave the ball up to Garrison Matthews, and then he does like a fake brush screen, and then immediately relocates to the corner for an open 3-pointer. I'm like, I saw that play, and I reacted the same way Trey did, where I'm like, yo, do that with me, brother. You, you can do that. We can win basketball games doing that. That's not something those two have done at all during their tenure. That they've tried some stuff, but like that, like DeJounte's like, I feel like he's starting to realize he's a very good catch to shoot 3-point shooter, and he's a very good off ball mover if he's willing to do it. Like, and so I think if Trey can come back, hopefully he can come back, and they can get some level of chemistry where those two can work some stuff out together, doing some stuff that DeJounte's doing with Vic, what he's doing with Garrison in particular, who like I can't praise Garrison enough. Like the man has no business being the level of defender that he is. He has no business. Like uh it's just he puts his body on the line, and
Yeah.
he's willing to take risks and like hurt himself to get a stop. And so like uh I don't know, I just been super impressed with a lot of the Hawks
Yeah.
guys who I didn't think were like NBA caliber rotation players, but it just goes to show like the NBA is
Yeah.
a very deep league. It's very talented, and sometimes you just need a chance to show what you can do. And I'm really impressed with what Garrison and
Yeah.
Bruno in particular have done.
But yeah, I mean, it's a great points. But I mean, the other thing is like you see the light bulb go off, right? Garrison Matthews is like you're watching him play defense, and you're like, it looks like he realizes I don't have to do this 12 minutes a game.
Yep.
And then when you kind of extract that out, like guys like him can have a 25 million dollar career doing that for 12 minutes a game, right? Because he could shoot, that helps with and he could play 12 years on making $3 million, whatever number, right? Play for a long time, kind of in that kind of role, being the 11th guy, just doing that for 12 minutes a game. And there are a lot of guys who are like, no, 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 I want to play 30 minutes a game, and they want to do things that they're never really going to be allowed to do ever in a role. I want to create, I want to dribble, I want to do it. I think he's just kind of, it looks like a guy who's figured out like this is what I am. And if I can just like really, really buy into this, I can play a long time and I can make some really good money and have a nice career. And but I mean you watch teams play, Kevin, you see so many teams kind of come into State Farm Arena, young guys especially trying to do things that they really have no business trying to do, you know, and things that are never going to kind of really stick in the role that they have. Kudos to Garrison for being like, this is who I am, this is my role, this is what I do, this is what my team needs from me. And it is easier when you only do it 12 minutes a night. A guy
Although
with
it's funny
his
that
limitations.
against Portland, they didn't ask him for 12 minutes. They were asking him for a lot more against Portland.
Yeah.
But he was also
Yeah.
the one player who was like, if Moses Brown gets the ball, I am fouling him.
Yeah.
So they wanted more minutes, and he got all those ticky-tack fouls, just lasering to Moses Brown anytime Brown touched the ball. And then, mid fourth quarter, he got a ticky tack foul. It's like, oh, those other ones counted too, and he fouled out.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, and that's the thing is like a guy in that role. There's going to be I don't know 8 games a year where they need more, right?
Yeah.
And that's okay,
Yep.
especially if it's against a team like Portland in this case. It's young and kind of trying to figure it out. So and I mean, and we can go back to it over and over, but a lot of the depth is College Park. I'm excited to see next year or whenever the time comes. Probably next year. Seth Lundy and they'll get like where are they? Kind of
Yeah.
and all of
Yeah.
this too. And I mean, I know Hawks fans have been so frustrated with the season, so frustrated with the season, and I understand it. I get it. We all had higher hopes. We all had higher expectations. What depending upon how emotionally invested you are in all of this, for sure, right? But they are building this from the ground up, and the evidence of that is what's going on in College Park.
Somebody
I mean,
asked
the
me the other
evidence.
day because I was like, College Park, College Park's been eliminated. They've got one game left. I think if they win that one game, they're a 500 team. And somebody asked me like, wait, wasn't College Park good? And it's like, well, yeah, College Park was good. Like they played that first half of the season and got to the final game. And they had it rolling through January, and then all the Hawks got hurt, all the Skyhawks got hurt. Anybody that got healthy was immediately sent to Atlanta, and they just don't have anybody else left. Like Chris Silva's been kind of on and off. Keaton Wallace has been out for the season for a long time. And they sent up V and they sent up Kobe, and that Seth Lundy got
And
hurt, and they
yeah,
haven't
well,
they've been
well,
playing with
Seth,
like 7, 8 guys for a long time,
yeah,
and they
yeah.
just don't have anybody.
Well, Seth Lundy was in the rotation for a week for the Hawks, like sometime in like December, it felt like,
Yeah, and then
whenever
he
that
got.
was, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
He got hurt. He got hurt. So I mean, there's to me, it's unquestionable. Like College Park has had like, exceeding success this year and doing the
That's right.
things that you need them to do, right? I don't have to tell you, Kevin, you're front row seat there all the time. But that's just such a big part of where this organization could go the next season or two is that.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I see it with the NBA. I see it with the Hawks. Like to me, post All-Star break, even with all the injuries, I feel like this team is actually bought into what Quinn wants them to do on both ends of the floor, and they're
Yeah.
now executing on that vision of what Quinn wants this team to be. I'm like, if this is the team they're going to be, if they get their talent, their guys back, they can be a consistent 48 plus win basketball team.
Yeah, agreed. Fun stuff. Hopefully it continues against the Bucks, right, guys?
Yeah, it's certainly made the end of the season a lot more interesting, and it's pretty fascinating that really the only team that the Hawks could get to a 7-game series against is Boston.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be fun. All right, good night, Bob.
All right, good night, Bob. Have a good weekend.
Good night, Bob.